Hello everybody, today we are doing another episode of entitled Parents. It appears everybody seemed to like it, so here we go again. Alright, our first story is, no, I just want to invite anti-vax kids. So I was throwing a birthday party for my kid, and almost everyone in his class was coming. Then, the hour before the party, some Karen-sounding motherfucker decides her kid, Dontre, is only going to come if there's no vaccinated kids coming to the party. I say yes, and I hatch a plan. The kids arrive one by one, and hers is last to arrive. When a kid arrives, I get all the kids to stand back. I tickle a feather up my nose and sneeze, making Dontre spasm on the ground and die instantly. The kids took turns default dancing on his body while his mom wrote a Facebook status about it, but she too died when she spilled her Starbucks coffee on the floor. Edit. I forgot to mention everyone clapped when I killed him and a couple ladies threw their bras at me. This is the peak of humanity. Honestly, without this person, I don't think humans would be nearly as advanced. We'd still be in the Stone Age without this guy. I'm gonna be real here. This is probably the best story I've ever had to read on here. It's got a great ending, great start, good build up, rising action hero, got the climax, everything you need. It's a nice plot twist. Yeah, let's get it all. Alright, coming off of that one, we are going to an actual one, I hope. Mom forces me to be her child's boyfriend. What? Okay. Sorry if it looks weird. I'm on mobile. So I was in year 12, and I was texting my friends when the shy girl from science class sends me a message. We text for a bit longer, and I go to bed. The next day, I wake up and my friend asks me why I'm cheating on my girlfriend. I tell him I'm not, and ask him who told him that. Of course, it was the shy girl. I text shy girl and ask what she was telling people, but she said she didn't say anything. I make it clear that I don't like her, and we always only saw each other twice. I thought it was that, but oh boy, I was wrong. I got an email from shy girl's mom telling me to stop bullying her. Kid, we emailed back and forth for a bit. This is crazy off the bat. Me, I wasn't bullying her. I don't know what you're talking about. EP, she told me that you texted her rude messages. Me, I just told her that I already have a girlfriend. Plus, she's 16. Why is she running to you? EP, but she wants to be your girlfriend. Me, I already have a girlfriend. EP, well, then can she be your girlfriend instead? Me, are you serious? After that, her mom kept sending me emails that I didn't reply to, and I just ignored her for the rest of the year. Thanks for reading. This was one of the stupidest EP stories from my life. What? I don't understand how someone can be that entitled that they think that you're just gonna break up with their girlfriend just to be with you because you said so. Like, the logic in that is no logic, actually. It's like, if there was such thing as negative logic, that would be this. My wife was the entitled parent and caused a divorce. Hi everyone, so I'm a first-time Reddit user. I decided to make a Reddit post on my own personal experience with an entitled parent after finding it in 2 entitled parent YouTube videos. The EP in this story was actually my wife, and it is a factor in what caused us to divorce. So, as a starter, my wife, who I would call Emily, was always a bit entitled as she had grown up with wealthy parents and truly was one of those keep me in a lifestyle to which I have become accustomed types. I accepted that because I knew it was her parents that had made her this way, and that these learned behaviors could be unlearned just by existing in real life, and she truly had a wonderful side. She could be generous and loving, and truly cared about the people she allowed into her life. I think this also played into her entitled parent status, though, because she expected others to be as generous as she could be, and was fiercely and blindly protective of our children, unable to see how they are in the wrong until after the fact, when I had explained it to her in great and excruciating detail. All this to say, she had a big disconnect between how she would behave and her expectations of others, versus what is actually appropriate and realistic expectations of strangers. With that picture painted, here's what happened. We were at Tesco's with my youngest daughter, who has mild autism and struggles to understand social situations. You may also know that people with autism have a distorted sense of self and can be very self-centered. My daughter collects Funko Pops and is currently obsessed with Harry Potter. She needed the Luna Lovegood with the lion headdress one, and every time we went to Tesco, she would run to the toy aisle to see if they had one. We could have ordered it online, but we promised to get her it if it was there, and this hope made it far easier to manage having her end whatever activity she was doing at home and to get her in the car. She struggles with transitions, and these can be hugely stressful for her. So, on this occasion, we arrive at Tesco's, and she runs right to the aisle. We follow behind at a distance to allow her time to browse without us looking over her shoulder. She's been out of sight for no longer than a minute when we hear her scream. We both ran over in a panic and find my daughter trying to pry the coveted pop out of another young girl's hands. This young girl is in a wheelchair and clearly has severe learning difficulties. I know you will judge my daughter here, but please do keep in mind that she has autism and associated learning disabilities herself. The girl in the wheelchair is trying to hold the pop out of reach, and her mom is standing to the side of her, trying to get between my daughter and hers without touching my daughter. A trying task. My wife stomps over and immediately starts on the mother. Don't you dare touch my daughter. The mom, with the patience of a saint, looks at my wife and says, I'm not. I'm trying to stop her hurting my daughter. I get a bit annoyed at this because my daughter has never been violent with anyone, but can see why she would make this assumption given what was happening. My wife did not see this. She instantly started shouting, How dare you? What do you think she is? Some kind of monster? She would never hurt a redacted person. She just wants the pop. If you would just give it to her, she would leave you alone. She looks at the girl and says, Give it to her now. The mom instantly steps in my wife's face and very calmly warns my wife that if she calls her daughter that again, she will beat the shit out of her. My wife looks at me for help, but I just look at her. The truth is, I was about to intervene on behalf of the mother. I was so full of rage at my wife at this point that she would call her childless, given our own daughter's issues and how upset she, my daughter, had gotten when she had been called this in the past. I knew right then that this woman I had chosen to marry was a vile human being. They argued back and forth for a while with no real resolution. Meanwhile, I have grabbed and picked up my daughter to stop her trying to get to the young girl with the pop. The argument was pretty mundane, usual things you'd expect. The mother explaining why she didn't have to give up the toy as her daughter had picked it up first. We later found out there was loads left on the shelf. It wasn't even the only one. And my then wife had the audacity to tell this woman that my daughter needed it because she had autism and her daughter didn't. At this point, I got fed up of listening and did intervene. I cut my wife off and apologized profusely to the mother and offered to buy her daughter the pop. She not so politely but also understandably declined. As she made her way away, my wife began screaming at me about how I should have defended her and how I was out of order for not. I explained to my wife that I would have nothing to say to her until we got to the car. Noticing the remaining Luna Pops, I let my daughter choose another. My wife followed me around, trying to engage me in conversation, but I ignored her for the most part, and reiterated that I had no intention of speaking to her. I had never been so disgusted by anyone in my life, and the idea that this woman was the mother of my child made me feel sick. I later explained to her why she was wrong, and she began to get it, but the damage had been done. I could not be with someone who would use that word to describe someone who had it even worse than our daughter. We ended up divorcing over something else some weeks later, but in the back of my mind then, and now this was the beginning of the end. EntitledParents sues my school for not letting her kid into the gifted program. Oh man, this is gonna be good. I attend a fairly prestigious school in New York City where there are a lot of really rich billionaire parents. Honestly, the school isn't even that good academically, it just has a very good reputation with colleges and stuff. With the new semester just starting, about 10% of the class gets put into the gifted program and 10% gets put into the help program. Pretty much the rich, lazy kids. This kid named Aiden was notorious for being very rich, but also a total douchebag and bully. He would often bully me and my friends for being nerds because we were in the gifted program. His parents have been called at the school multiple times because he constantly spends days in detention. Jesus. This kid literally called the cops for imprisonment after being put into detention. His parents managed to sue the school, and they somehow got to an agreement where Aiden gets to get out of detention and his parents won't tell anybody. His mom was the generic entitled parent. Her name is Rachel. She thinks Aiden deserves everything. He has a $5,000 gaming laptop he uses for YouTube and is always wearing some fancy clothes that I can't afford. He also makes sure I know that. $5,000 gaming laptop. He didn't even build a supercomputer, but he has a laptop. That's... Why would you waste... I mean, I understand maybe gaming. Not really. Actually, no. Why would you buy a gaming laptop? I mean, only for transportation, but other than that, just build a computer if you have that much money. You can spend $2,500 on the computer, $2,500 on a laptop, and the difference is going to be so minimal that it's not going to even matter. So, anyways, let's not go off on a tangent about gaming laptops. This is really not the subreddit for that. Rachel threatened to sue the school for a second time for discriminating against her son. She claimed the school put her son in the help program because they were Jewish. Not gonna comment. Somehow, the school was very defensive because they already had a contract that pretty much said the school can't punish her baby. The fucking school decided it would be good to put the lazy piece of shit in the gifted program. The kid is holding back the class because he pretty much just jumped from pre-algebra to calc/trig combined class. We literally can't learn anything in a very expensive school because of this twat. I really hate any parent that abuses their money and power to ruin other people's lives. Yeah, people with this much, like they said, great power comes with great responsibility, and these people have great power, and they have zero responsibilities. So, okay, yeah. Okay, cool. This final story is actually from my experiences. It's called, You Weren't Sitting in These Seats, They Are Ours Now. This happened at a football game, Ravens versus Steelers, so naturally very crowded, and stands are generally packed. My mom owns 2 PSL tickets, meaning she always is allowed to go to games when she purchases tickets beforehand, yada yada yada. So, this is the beginning of our story. Entitled Mom, EM, and Entitled Brat, EP, are seen at the entrance to the stadium, and the mom yells at the security guards that she can't put down her phone as she is on a very important business call. She was clearly just chatting with her friend. Eventually, she puts down the phone, but not after giving a stare of death into each of the security guards' eyes at her gate. Anyways, my mom and I get food. As we head to our seats, we find 2 people sitting in them, and lo and behold, it's EM and EB. My mom looks at me and says to EM, "Hey miss, these seats are ours. Do you mind moving? I think you might be in the wrong seats." Instead of being a rational human being, EM yells at the top of her lungs, "The fuck you say to me, you little shit? I paid for these seats." EB acting on cheeky, "Yeah, dumbasses," and sits bats down smugly. Sits bats down. My mom shows EM that she is indeed not correct and that we do own these seats, and instead of admitting to her mistakes, this insane freaking woman says, "Well, we were here first, so we own these seats." At this point, my mom and I look at each other and both have the most insane look of surprise on our faces. My mom's jaw has literally dropped wide open. Mom continues trying to show this woman she is wrong, but she has shut her out. At this point, I have called security, and they said that they were on their way. Security arrives, and as soon as this woman sees them, she instantly begins yelling and saying things like, "These crazy people tried to kick us out of our seats, and their son, me, tried to assault my son, EB. I hadn't even gotten within 5 feet of him." Security checks our tickets and confirms we do own the seats, and let us sit down, and surprise, surprise, the woman had done this before. It turns out this was her second offense, and she lost all season tickets. Security escorted her out, and all the while she was screaming and cussing, while her son just looks down very embarrassed. You know, I would feel bad for EB because I ended up writing at the end of the story, so it seemed like I had sympathy, but I really did not have any sympathy for that kid. The yeah, dumbasses thing, I almost punched him in the head for that, in all honesty. And yes, this story did actually happen to me. You can look up the Steelers versus Ravens game. It was one of the most packed stadiums. Anyways, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya.